You know, there are a lot of cold case mysteries out there, unfortunately, cases that have been unsolved. And some of them are unsolved because there just doesn't seem to be anyone with a motive, or there doesn't seem to be any evidence. I've got a case for you tonight that is 7 years old, that there's a video of the murder suspect, there's a motive, there's circumstances, yet there's nothing has been done in terms of charging anyone for this murder. It's the murder of a woman named Aliza Sherman, stabbed to death in broad daylight.
I had a female caller asking for help, but she said she's just been attacked, and she kept repeating, "Help me, help me, help me."
The medical examiner's office told us today that Sherman was stabbed 11 times on Sunday, right down here in this walkway behind the Galleria.
A brutal murder in broad daylight in downtown Cleveland. It happened on March 24th, 2013.
My mother, was an innocent woman that was murdered on what was supposedly a quiet Sunday afternoon in downtown Cleveland.
That's Jennifer Rivchun, the daughter of the victim, 53-year-old Aliza Sherman, a mother of four and the wife of Dr. Sanford Sherman. At the time of her murder, Aliza and the doctor were in the middle of a contentious divorce.
Sherman was reportedly heading to meet with her divorce lawyer in the building behind the Galleria at about 5:30 p.m. when the incident happened. She was set for divorce trial with her husband, Dr. Sanford Sherman, this week. Sherman's neighbor says there was a lot of tension between the couple in recent years.
Part of that tension involved a bank account allegedly opened by Dr. Sherman under his wife's name, which, after the death of Aliza, was part of a $2 million lawsuit Jennifer filed against her father.
She claims that her dad opened a bank account, deposited money, and then withdrew it without her mom's knowledge.
But perhaps the best piece of evidence in this case? Surveillance video from the day and time of the violent stabbing.
Police say the person shown in this surveillance video is the killer, but who that person is still a mystery.
Despite the video and the divorce, investigators made little progress in the case. So year after year, Aliza's daughter would come back to the scene of the crime to remind the community about her mom.
Your smile's so genuine, sincere like no other. You are so very missed, my beautiful mother.
Then, in 2016, a development in the case.
News tonight in the 3-year-old cold case of Aliza Sherman. A grand jury indicted her divorce attorney, Gregory Moore, for tampering with evidence.
The indictment reveals Moore lied to police about where he was around the time of Sherman's murder, March 24, 2013. Moore stated he was in his office when Sherman was murdered, but phone records tell a different story. The indictment indicates Moore was not in his office an hour before the murder and didn't return until an hour after she was killed.
This fact is significant because on the day before Aliza was murdered, she met with Moore to prepare for her divorce trial. But then he contacted her to meet again on Sunday.
Aliza began to text him, letting him know that she was down there. He eventually did respond to her, told her that he was there. She then asked him to unlock the door, which did not happen. And seconds after she informed him that she was going back to her car because it was too cold outside, she was stabbed 11 times.
But lying to investigators weren't the only charges against Moore. He was also charged with calling in bomb threats to 3 different courthouses. And in each instant, the bomb threat was the day of a scheduled divorce trial Moore was handling for other clients. Jennifer Rivchun spoke at Moore's sentencing.
Greg Moore has had 1,522 days and countless opportunities to aid in seeking her justice since her vicious death. Yet instead, he has admitted that he lied to law enforcement about his whereabouts and continues to sit here today without explaining himself or sharing what he knows.
That was in 2017. And with no more answers, that's where it ended. Greg Moore has never spoken publicly, and he has not been charged in the murder of his client. Dr. Sanford Sherman has also remained silent and has never been charged. Which brings us back to the biggest lead in the case and the biggest question. Who is this alleged murderer on the surveillance video? Unbelievable. I mean, there's a video of the suspect and there's all these surrounding facts, yet it has never been put all together. Let me bring back in Julie Grant and Ted Rollins, who are with me. Julie, let's start with the surveillance video. And I believe there's actual video of the killing itself that has not been released publicly, but you've got the suspect, broad daylight, no witnesses. We got a picture of him, never been identified.
Right, Vinny. Isn't that such a shame? And you can see when you look at it, you can't make an identification. That hoodie sweatshirt is pulled up so tightly. It appears to be a man, is what it appears to be, the individual in the video. But this was such a bold, brazen, brutal crime. Broad daylight on a Sunday, downtown Cleveland, which can be very busy depending on where you are. But for this to happen, and then 11 times, 11. Think about that, to do the stabbing, and we know it wasn't a robbery because we know her jewelry wasn't taken, neither was her wallet. This was calculated.
Ted, the reason she's there on Sunday is because her divorce lawyer said to meet at his office. He said he was at the office, he wasn't there. Yeah. He lured her down there for some reason. I don't understand. We can't put two and two together in this one.
Yeah, it is really puzzling because at first you think, oh, the husband did it, contentious divorce, he hates her, and he wants to save his money. Now, this one really looks like the lawyer is prime suspect number one because of what you just said. Why does he call her down the day after they already met and say, oh, we have to meet, and he's not even there, she's waiting outside. But the person that's running, I don't know that it is a man for sure. When that second look almost looks like it could be a woman too. It is such a horrible, wonderful piece of evidence. It's like, oh, we got video of the person who did it, and then you could watch this 100 times, and it's so frustrating because you can't really tell anything about the person.
Here's the other part. She makes a 911 call. Now, we heard the radio transmission talking about the call. But I would think if it was her husband or if it was her lawyer, she would have recognized that person and may have said something about that person. So I think this is someone who did not know her who commits the physical murder itself, the actual act. I mean, is it possible that this is like a case that would be the plot of a movie where, or Law and Order, where people have alleged motives or reasons, and it's something completely different here, Julie?
Right, Vinny, you're exactly right. Could this perhaps be a murder for hire? Maybe you guys were thinking that. And with the lawyer, it seems like police really have done a thorough investigation of him for his other misconduct. And so I think if they had him as a suspect, if they had the evidence of that, they would have charged him because they brought other charges. And knowing his history is important, too. This guy was always very unprepared for trials. And the reason he called in all those bomb threats was because he had trials scheduled and was not ready to go. I mean, just disgraceful, just a disgrace to the bar, a disgrace to the profession. You take an oath to be an officer of the court and then you behave like that. Try being a prosecutor or public defender when you come in with a stack of cases this high and then are told to go pick a jury on one of them and don't have any time to prepare. So I think police may have ruled him out with all the looking they did into him. But I have to tell you, the thing that really struck me the most was when I watched the sentencing hearing for the lawyer, Greg Moore, when he was sentenced for the falsification and for inducing panic for the bomb threats. The daughter of this couple spoke, and in her victim impact statement, she said things, the language she used made me think, oh, was there domestic violence here in this relationship? She called her mother's divorce the fight for her life, said she was defending her rights to freedom, safety, and happiness, said the trauma she endured and document will never be forgotten. Those things really sounded really upsetting, Vinny and Ted. I'm wondering if perhaps there was a history of that in the case. I don't know.
Yeah, she was... according to some of these court filings, she was scared and had sent some notes to her lawyer saying that she was scared. And I think just prior to the divorce, both husband and wife were still living in the same house and things were really, really tense.